Hey guys, welcome back to the channel where we talk about education, behavior, and boundaries. My name is Matt. I'm a veteran teacher and a board certified behavior analyst, and today we're diving into the Polar Express.
You coming?
Where?
Why, to the North Pole, of course. This is the Polar Express.
I grew up watching this movie, loved this movie, and now rewatching it as a teacher who's been teaching for a while. Dude, this conductor exhibits so many good things that good teachers have. And I'm not just talking about teachers in the classroom. If you've watched any of my other things, my mindset, I guess the paradigm that I look at stuff through is everyone's an educator, whether you know it or not. People are watching you, they're learning from you, whether through example or through anti-example. And when I rewatch these movies, dude, there's so much education happening here, so I can't wait to get into it with you guys. So without any further ado, let's get started. Tom Hanks' idea. Am I hearing my own voice? So my first thought, my first idea with all this stuff is this is like Meet the Teacher kind of vibes here. This is reminding me of like just first day in class. The kid has no idea what's going on. We're meeting the teacher and all these different things. So what's going on? Why do I have this train in the middle of my yard? What's going on? Also, just, I don't know. I'll comment on that later.
Well, you coming?
There's an invitation.
Where?
Why, to the North Pole, of course. This is the Polar Express.
The North Pole?
I see. Hold this, please. Thank you. If I were you, I would think about climbing on board. Come on. I've got a schedule to keep. Oh.
So this is really cool to see because whenever, again, like I'm looking at this through the lens of of a teacher. I see it as a teacher. I see it also through a lens of behavior analysis. This is, I wish, again, here's the I wish. I mean, it's the Christmas season, so we're wishing for things, right? I wish school wasn't so compulsory. I wish it was. I think the thought of this is called unschooling. There have been different schools like charter and private that have experimented with this and have had pretty moderate success. Not enough for statistical significance, but still anecdotally kind of cool. But it's the idea that we're going to invite students, hey, if you want to learn this, cool. If you don't want to learn this right now, that's fine too. And there's some obvious skepticism in that. But I have heard, I'll give you another anecdote, another personal testimony. You see this invitation happen with siblings. So my wife was homeschooled, right? She went through homeschool, but she went to a state college and things like that. When her brother was learning to read, it took him a little while to learn to read, as it does like a lot of kids, right? So he took him a while to learn to read, but when he was able to read a book, my wife, his little sister, wanted to read too. So her mom, who was doing the homeschooling, didn't have to beg her, hey, you need to read this. She wanted, it became a competitive thing. If my brother can read a book, I want to be able to read. I want to be able to read like he does. And so there is some, and I say that to say there's some merit to that. So when I see this scene about, hey, you coming? Okay, cool. You don't have to, but we're going to go. And so that's kind of interesting.
Yourself.
Okay, last thing, and then I'm going to let it play. There is a common sense to this too. And also, kids, if you're watching this, if you wake up in the middle of the night, right, and there's a train that comes through your yard, do what this guy's doing, okay? Don't get on, okay? Don't trust the conductor. You may say, we're going to go to the North Pole. I wouldn't trust it, right? However, great movie. Makes for a great movie. We'll just keep it at that. Okay, so he's having second thoughts, like, and he gets on. So, and listen, this is why, like, and I gotta know this too. When I'm teaching, I want kids to immediately buy into what we're doing, and I kind of want to slow down to the pace of the most reluctant kid, the kid who doesn't want to engage in the lesson. The thing about anything we do, and I'm thinking in the classroom setting, but also in work and in life, the lesson of you can choose to jump on this train or not. However, your decision is not going to affect the rest of us who have a job to do and have places to go. So if you want to hop on, cool. If you don't want to hop on, cool. But we're trucking, right? This train's bound for glory, right? We're going somewhere. So yeah, man, I like that imagery of like, hey, that train's going, and that FOMO kicks in of, man, I got to get on that train. I don't know where it's going, but that's kind of cool. I don't, so we'll see. But kids, don't jump on trains with strangers. Don't do it. How many kids, and maybe you watching this, remember being in class and your first day in class, and you're looking around and you're just trying to feel the temperature of the room. You're just trying to see, all right, where did I fit in? What's the expectation here? What am I supposed to do in all this? This is what's happening here. You have the boy who is, as far as I can tell, there's no name given to him. He's the main boy. Which I watched this video for years without realizing, oh, the main character doesn't have a name. In fact, I don't know if anybody here has a name in the movie other than Santa, because you just don't hear it, but it's not necessary for the story. So that's kind of cool. Anyway, so you have this kid, he's coming on, he's trying to see, okay, I see kids singing, I see kids up out of their chair, but I also see kids sitting down. It's very laid back, so he's just trying to figure out, where do I fit in exactly, like, what's the expectation here? So look at what just happened, okay? He asked for the tickets, but watch what the kids do. They all go back to their seats. They know the expectation. So whether explicitly or, well, let's just say explicitly, it's always good to set the expectation. There is some decorum, I guess, that goes with riding a train that says, look, if I ask for a ticket, you need to be where you were sitting originally. You need to be in a seat so that way I don't miss you. So this is really good, man. And he doesn't have to remind them. They just know the expectation. And that comes from just being consistent. I think with teaching and with dealing with children and with dealing with people, we feel like we need to get loud. We feel like we need to get angry. We feel like we need to evoke some kind of emotion to get people to obey. But you really don't want just blind obedience. You really don't want blind compliance either. If you give reasons for your rules and you're consistent on the consequences for following and not following those rules, for example, a consequence for this is like, oh, well, I missed your ticket. So, because you weren't sitting down. But let's see if we can fix it. They don't have to be like heavy, dire consequences, but just be consistent of like, I'm not going to search you out to get this done. Just get it done. And things like that. I think one thing we're seeing a lot across schools are just kids not turning in assignments. And I think that stems from a history of kids not feeling the consequences of an empty grade or a zero in the grade book. Because we have been told don't give kids zeros. And I see why, because it's hard to redeem yourself from a zero. But that also incentivizes children to turn in assignments. Because now that we've taken that away, why do I need to turn in my assignments on time? Because I know the lowest I'm going to get is a 70. So, which is high D, low C, depending on what school you're at. So, anyway, I just thought that was kind of cool. Like, he didn't say, sit down and I'll do your ticket. He just said, hey, I'll do the ticket. And the kids knew, okay, in the behavior that goes with punching of tickets, I got to go sit somewhere. All right.
Pocket. Try your other pocket.
Hey, watch out there.
Thank you, sir.
That is a public address microphone. It is not a car. Boy, that's like...
Also, his redirect, neutral, didn't yell, didn't scream. He just said, hey, it's not a toy. Okay, so
Train.
so we have this kid. He's struggling. The train's moving just like that train's moving at a faster pace that kid is not able to keep up with. But this is really cool. What happens? If you know, you know. Like, and it's not. Oh, buddy. Oh, buddy.
We have to stop the train.
Stop the train.
So there was a kid who was being left behind on this thing, and what happened? His peers helped like make up the difference. I'm real big on. I'm kind of. It's hard for me to watch this movie and not think about, oh my gosh, dude, I see this like in schools all the time, or what if we did this in school, you know? And that's let the kids help, dude. There's studies out there. I wish I had them like just. I could just rattle them off for you. And I need to get better at it because I tend to go back to these studies all the time. But the studies that say that kids learn more from their peers, or people learn more from their peers than they do people in position. Like, so in the case of classrooms, kids learn more from other kids than they do from adults, just because social norms and things like that. And that also goes back to like you learn more from people closer to your age than you do on people who are further from your age, because people who are closer to your age get it. That's why if an adult says, hey, stop hitting your friend, it has a certain level of effectiveness. But if you have let's say a high schooler telling a middle schooler, hey, stop hitting your friend, it carries a little bit more weight to it, because in the head of like a middle schooler looking at a high schooler who's telling them to stop, it's like, that is where I want to be in a couple years. So if they're telling me to stop, then that is going to have a more immediate consequence for me than the adult who has about 10 or 15 years more life than the kid they're redirecting. So that's just a whole thing. Them stopping the train was really, really cool because kids want to help other kids. Humans want to help other humans. There's something in us where we want to help others. Oh man, I gotta. Y'all stay around because I want to talk about. Well, I'll give y'all a peek. So we know what Darwin says about survival of the fittest. Like, basically, whoever's the best outlives who isn't the best, right? However, there was a guy who went against Darwin, and there were some reasons why his theory didn't gain traction in the scientific community. Again, I got to study a little bit more to understand it, but essentially it was survival of the friendliest. You see this in dogs too, by the way. The reason that dogs actually learn to cohabitate with people, which is instead of being wild animals, they learned if we protect the villages of people, they will give us food. So it's survival of the friendliest. So it's a collaborative effort. This is how human beings have it work. We help each other out. We help one another, and there's power in numbers. I mean, we hear it in all these different ways. It takes a village to raise a kid. It's a we're communal people. It's a community effort. We're not isolationist. We don't live in isolation. We actually, if you live for others, you will have you could potentially have a longer and more fulfilling life, and make bigger strides in that. So you see it kind of played out nicely in this scene too. So I don't know, really, really cool. It would have been nice. It would have been nice to get some recognition, but there's no reciprocity there.
Who in the blazes applied that emergency brake?
He did.
You. In case you didn't know, that cord is for emergency purposes only. And in case you weren't aware, tonight is Christmas Eve. And in case you hadn't noticed, this train is on a very tight schedule. Now, young man, Christmas may not be important to some people, but it is very important to the rest of us.
But, he was just trying to stop the train so that kid could get on.
I see. Young man, is that what happened? Well, let me remind you, we are on a very tight schedule. And I've never been late before.
The way that this train conductor reacted to being corrected by a child, top tier. It's like top tier. Because I know there's this thing in us, I'm an adult. Kids don't know more than me. However, if a kid saw what happened and you, the adult, did not, in that instance, the kid knows more than you just because they were there, right? So this train conductor, Tom Hanks, who is chewing out Tom Hanks in this scenario, understands he was frustrated. He was mad because what the actions of this kid it slowed down progress. It decreased the likelihood that we would meet the expectation. But so he's sitting here reaming this kid, and he's sitting here getting on to this kid. But in the middle of that, another kid speaks up and says, hey, listen, he was just trying to let that other kid get on. And now you could argue, hey, are you getting an attitude with me? Are you really going to backtalk a teacher right now? Detention. Look, I can see teachers doing that. I think I would have been a teacher that would have done that in my first or second year. But it's all about intention. Am I just trying to prove a point to establish my authority to the kids? Or am I trying to get to the bottom of this? Because this is actually a great lesson. They're doing something good for another kid. Do I want to punish that? Is that something that I want to decrease the likelihood that the kids will do in the future? Well, no. So I think what he did implicitly here is oh, well, okay, that's the facts. I didn't have all the facts, now I do. Thank you. It's really, really interesting. Really, really cool.
And I am certainly not going to be late tonight. Now, everybody, take your seats.
And then we move on. It's okay, now back to your regular schedule.
Thank you.
Cars without a grown-up.
I think he'll be...
So she is breaking a rule, but watch how, again, let's just watch how the conductor responds to this. It's so good.
okay.
Are you sure?
What about this lad in the back? Did he get any refreshment?
Mm-mm.
Well, let's take some to him by all means.
I love like, again, we have to consider, we use this language in education. We talk about the whole child, and I like it. I like it. It's not bad. It gets a little cheesy sometimes, I'll admit it, but it's fine because we are looking at the whole child. Do I want you to know how to read and write and do math? Of course. Do I want you to learn how to think critically? Of course. And a part of that is that socio-emotional learning social cues, helping others. Like that's the key. If we can get kids to be others focused, that's crucial, because then they're going to contribute to society, because it's understanding, if I just look out for myself, and there are times where it's like, all right, I need to take care of myself so I can take care of others. But the end result is my contribution to society is helping others. Okay. This conductor, the train conductor in Polar Express, understands this. This is the lesson we try to teach around the holidays. This, whether it's Christmas, Hanukkah, we try to, I don't know what they try. Anyway, this is kind of the spirit of the day, right? This is spirit of Christmas. We talk about giving and peace and goodwill to all men. And it's by these little acts of kindness, the little act of kindness of, I'm going to slightly inconvenience myself because I was thinking of somebody else. And the conductor could have said, well, this could have been perfectly, well, look, it's a rule. We cannot cross carts. It's a rule. You should not be out of your seat right now. It's a rule. A, B, C, D, blah, 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 blah. Okay. However, all those rules, I'm not going to say they go out the window, but they're open to amendment to say, hey, I'm with you. I'm an adult. Let's go do this. Let's bring it to him by all means. So I think that's really cool. It was really cool to see.
Watch your step now. Watch your step.
I left my ticket right here on the seat. But it's gone.
You mean you have lost your ticket?
She didn't lose her ticket. I did.
All that ownership,
I
man.
was
That's good.
trying to return it to you. But the wind blew it out of my hand.
And honesty.
You could have my ticket.
These tickets are not transferable. Young lady, you will just have to come along with me.
Man. So now we have a real situation here, because this is a non-negotiable rule. So what's going to happen? Because here's the thing, the conductor does not question anything the kids are doing. And this is a great thing. If you work with kids or you just work with people, it's always the best policy to assume honesty. Always. Like, just assume they're being honest, like, to a fault. Like, okay, well, if you're saying that, then it must be true. And just assume honesty until proven otherwise. Because at no point did he question the honesty of either of these kids. However, what's also true is your ticket isn't, you no longer have your ticket. This is one of those non-negotiables. So watching how this gets navigated is really, really interesting. And again, it's like, do I think everything he does and the way he interacts with kids is perfect? No, but there's also a stylistic thing to this too. If any of you guys were to watch me in my classroom, some of y'all would say that's the best teaching that I've seen. Some of y'all would say that's the worst teaching I've ever seen. And that's not just me. You can take any teacher in America or in the world and look at how they teach. You'll have some that say that's the best teaching in the world, some that say that's the worst teaching in the world. But it all comes down to style. And I know we try to measure outcomes, but it gets dicey, because it's just, just for so many different reasons as far as layers, because you can only measure so much output. They're trying to do it to where, like, we measure a kid's progress over 5 years now. Either way, it's not cut and dry, you know, and what defines a good lesson and things like that. His style is not exactly how I would approach it. However, if it yields results and if it yields trust, and it doesn't make the kid, I think one good measure to see how much does the kid dread coming to class, or how much does the kid look forward to coming to class, or the student look forward to coming to class. That's a pretty good measure, because if I'm excited to go do something, I'm going to remember more of it, opposed to if I'm dreading it, like the dentist office. I want to forget as much of my experience at the dentist office as possible. I just need to check the box. I want to do what I got to do and then leave. But if it's something like a concert or a musical or things like that, I want to remember every single minute. I want to savor every minute of it. So that might be a good measure to see, like, asking, just again, not statistical but anecdotal. Hey, how much are you looking forward to being in class today? And then kind of use that. Use that to kind of gauge how well your teaching's going. I saw one principal who was subbing for his teachers, which is a really cool deal, by the way. But he was subbing for one of his teachers, and he had the kids say, on a scale from 1 to 5, how'd I do today? That's a pretty, honestly, that might be one of the most reliable metrics, because the people who are the direct consumers of your content are the people in those seats, are the little people, the people in training, the little humans, the little fetus faces that we get to teach day in and day out. Ask them for feedback. They will tell you more about your performance than someone in a separate building who observes 3 of your classrooms out of the year could ever tell you.
You know what's gonna happen now, don't
Oh,
you?
shame. Shame. See, I wouldn't do that. But again,
It's standard procedure. That way you won't get
he's been
shut
doing
down
this for a
under the
while.
wheel. They may slow the train
So
down
who
a
am
little
I?
bit, but they're never gonna stop it.
Stop it. That's it.
Keep this in a safe place, young man. If I was you, I keep all my valuables.
So here's my take.
You're the old size 13.
So here's my take. I think it's a Christmas movie with a lot of different meanings. My take from this, your ticket to ride, that's education. I don't like the phrase access to education. I know what it means. I know, when the people that say that, know what it means. But kids are wired to learn. Okay, so a kid is going to get education anywhere, everywhere and anywhere they go. Now, I guess the issue is, are you going to learn the right lessons? Are you going to learn lessons that are going to make you a contributing member of society? Or are you going to learn lessons that might actually be harmful to you and harmful to others? We hear these toxic narratives and things like that. So I think when I think of access to good education, that's what I'm thinking of. And then I think it's deeper than just learning the right math lesson, right reading lesson, learning how to read correctly, because you want to be literate and things like that. So there's a whole lot of layers to that. But again, we're in an age where technology is just vast, and so many kids have access to technology. Public libraries were a big, it's really, really cool that you have a public library. I'm sure that was cutting edge and really, really cool, because you literally had access to education. Even if you didn't as a kid, you could get a library card and just have access to a world of knowledge. Right? But you still need to put in that time to do it. That's the cost of that education. Like, yes, it's free, but you need to pay in your time. So that's a whole conversation. But so I think my take on this movie, the ticket to ride, is your ticket to education. This is, you get to be on this train that not a lot of kids get to get on, and you're going to learn a lot of lessons on this trip. So, man, do it. So that's kind of cool.
Experiential. This is the safest place. Not that I have much use for those tickets. I ride for free. Oh yeah. I hop aboard this rattler.
So you see this kid, like he is taking in all this information and just trying to parse through. Okay, what can I believe and what can I not? Because he's an adult though, so I'm gonna trust him. Like, he's Usually, and it's sad that this is not the world we live in now, but usually when you see an adult, you're in a safe space. Now is not the case, unfortunately. But even then, he still has access. It's in this case, he's just a little quirky, a little weird. But it's really nice to not be on top of a speeding train in the snow by yourself, and you have a cozy fire. So it's kind of cool. See, he's like, all right. See, this guy's weird. Yeah, he's like, all right, this guy's weird.
What exactly is he?
You? I thought you got thrown off and you're driving.
Oh, we found her. She didn't get thrown off.
Charge. The engineer had to check the light.
I think this is a great way to do punishment, and punishment being you want to decrease the future likelihood of a behavior. A good way to do that is, okay, you did not meet the expectations of responsibility here, so let's give you another opportunity to be responsible. Do I think we let her drive the train? I don't know if that's probably the best thing, but excuse me, the concept of let me give you a smaller responsibility, or let me give you a chance to make up that time, that's a good idea. That's a good thing. So that's cool. She didn't get thrown off the train. That's pretty nice. He's trying to hold himself up. Oh, this is cool. This is really neat. So what we just saw there, and this happens all the time. As a teacher and as a behavior analyst, I learned so much from kids. And that is my biggest source of education. My continuing education happens from working with kids, because I learn so much of what works and what doesn't work. This is like a good image of that, because this kid just accidentally pulled this guy's beard and it worked out. And they moved. So that's kind of cool. Like, it was a little reciprocal learning there. That was neat.
Uncontrollably, and we are rapidly approaching Glacier Gulch, which just happens to be the steepest downhill grade in the world. I suggest we all hold on tightly.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a great representation of majority of the school year. Are like kids saying, "Are we good?" It's like, well, we're in for a ride. Just hold on. We're gonna get through this. All right, that's just the best we can do. We're doing the best of what we got. You know, sometimes things break, and we don't have the resources for a smooth trip, but we're gonna get there eventually. Hold on, tightly.
This bell is a wonderful symbol of the spirit of Christmas, as am I. Just remember, the true spirit of Christmas lies in your heart.
So again, we go back to kids learn anywhere from anybody. And he's learning from Santa, which is really cool. But he couldn't hear the bells because he doesn't believe. But now he can believe. The conductor tells him sometimes the most real things in the world are the things we can't see. And this appeals to him because he's not able to have this experience and hear the bells because he doesn't believe. And you I don't know, it lessened the experience. Like, his experience was lessened because of his lack of belief. And this can be, you can take that a number of different ways. The way I'm taking it is just belief in self. I see kids who are so terrified of being wrong that they don't give themselves the opportunity to learn. They don't give themselves the opportunity to make mistakes and see that mistakes really aren't that, they're not that bad most of the time. Like, you make a mistake and then you learn from it. That's the nature of a mistake. But if they are put in an environment where they're not able or even allowed to make a mistake, then they're scared of making mistakes all the time, and they don't believe in themselves. They're not confident in themselves. I quote this Mike Lipkin quote all the time, where he says, "I've been wrong before, but I've never doubted myself." And I try to preach that to these kids, man. Like, you're going to be strong and wrong, but don't doubt yourself, because you're giving your best judgment, and your best judgment is just going to get better and better and better with every single mistake that you make. I look in the mirror. I preach that to myself. Look, you're just going to get, your best is going to get better if you keep making mistakes. That's a very small moment. That's a cool moment, because you see this all the time, man. Just have kids that just correct other kids' behavior. Because to him, it's like, oh, that's funny. Let's laugh at their expense. And the other kid's like, let's not. It's like, okay, let's not. You know, all that was said without saying a word. Good storytelling.
Ticket, please. Can you count on us to get you home safe and sound?
Absolutely. Me. And my friends.
Ticket.
I'm just saying, at the end of every school year, or every trip, right? At the end of every school year, I think, it's not just one teacher. Like, it's a team of teachers, a team of adults who want this kid to succeed. Every kid leaves the year with a lesson. So I do like how we, at the end of this whole trip, what is the lesson that each individual child has learned from this year? So this is a cool moment, man. I'm here for it.
And I need to know.
Yep. For you to know. Excellent. Love this movie, man. Just like rewatching it from a teaching perspective, just as an adult, like, this is, it's just so good, because you see so many lessons laced throughout this whole thing. Like, one experience. I know this is a movie, and I know there's a lot of experiences that have to happen, and it's not as grandiose as going to the North Pole. But just day to day, these interactions that kids have, they're learning from every single interaction, every single mishap, every single misfortune. Kids are learning. They're developing a learning history. Even you watching this, me, myself, like, there are things that I learned as a child that even as an adult, some of those lessons I keep, but there are a lot of those lessons we have to unlearn. And that's the hardest process, is unlearning bad lessons and bad teachings. So yeah, man, excellent, dude. Polar Express, dude, 10 out of 10 movie. If you're a teacher, bro, if you want to just hold up a mirror to your teaching practices and how you interact with kids and keep that standard, because he wasn't like a happy-go-lucky conductor. He was stern. I guess kind of like, he kept the expectation high and consistent, and he wasn't, when there needed to be amendment to the rules, he made amendments. You know, it's no big deal. Like, all right, well, let's fix it. But anyway, guys, thank you guys so much. If you stayed to the end of the video, thank you so much. You're helping the channel just by watching. So thank you. If you like this video and you want to see other videos and content like this, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, like the video, comment. What are your thoughts on this movie? Like, do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you have anything to add? Let me know in the comments. I love to read them. They help me out a lot, and it's just fun to hear y'all's take on this stuff. But yeah, guys, until next time, thank you guys so much. Love you guys. God bless.